We are live with
Siri, you
the.
can't use that kind of language while we're streaming.
I knew it.
This is the
Oh
flying by the
man.
seat of our points challenge. Stage two check-in
We are
and
live.
stage
Siri, you can't use that kind
three
of language
launch.
while we're
And I need
streaming.
to pause the video playing
You
in the
should be
background.
watching us live while we live, Greg. That's
It sometimes automatically kicks it off. It's really annoying.
Uh,
Um, so yeah, so we're all here, right?
well, wait,
uh,
now wait a minute. Wasn't there were, are
wasn't
there
there someone
two
else?
of us?
I thought there was someone else that was
well,
Because I
here,
thought
but
I
so
finished third in one of the things last time. So who was it? If it was just you.
there's an elephant in the room, which is the person not in the room.
I don't see an elephant.
The elephant in the room is that we can't help but notice Nick is not here. It is
We are neckless.
We are Nicholas at now 2:01 p.m. Eastern time.
Hmm.
So
Neck.
Do we
Stephen and
know?
I will have to do some stewing on how this all factors into our, just a reminder for all our viewers, we gave our contestants near impossible tasks. Well, increasingly impossible tasks. We assigned Greg the task of getting from LA to Croatia in less than 48 hours, right? That was like
42.
42 hours. We gave
Actually,
Tim the 40 odd.
I think it
We
was
gave
41 by the
Tim,
time the meeting was over. But anyway, who's counting?
sure, that is likely. We gave Tim the task of getting from LA to Switzerland. And we gave Nick the task of getting from LA to Morocco. Within the last weeks of planning the challenge, Stephen and I switched it from Bulgaria to Morocco because he made an offhanded comment about how, oh, I hope you guys don't send us to Europe. So while I do feel kind of bad for the task he had at hand, it was in the spirit of sending him where he wanted to go.
There you go. But also you moved him west, so you moved him closer to
Closer.
LA by doing that. So he has no excuse.
Yeah, totally.
Here
I
we
mean,
are.
honestly, I think it's a brazen disregard for all of the care and the time that you guys have taken to create a challenge. On behalf of all three of us, I want to apologize for Nick right now.
Well,
Yeah.
I feel you on that. I have a feeling our viewers do not feel the same. Everyone has been rooting for Nick. They are in his corner, and we do have an update somewhat. I see people asking, "Where's Nick?" Well, we do know, and if you check your Instagram stories, like we asked you to, you would see that he actually has officially arrived in Morocco. He's just not he's not as official as having a passport stamp.
Yeah.
According to T-Mobile, he's official in that he has landed in the country. So
So
he's
judges,
somewhere.
do you go by him making it in time for what T-Mobile says, or making it to Morocco by law, i.e. past passport control, or making it to the live stream? What's the rule here?
Stephen, how about you summarize what we discussed and then I'll see what readers say. So readers, give us your thoughts while Stephen shares.
Yeah, so this is tricky because kind of before the challenge had actually started, we'd figured that if you don't make it to the live stream, that's a pretty serious thing. However, there are various reasons why you might not end up being there on time. One of them is because you've scheduled a flight into your country and it's not due to arrive until after the live check-in. And if that was avoidable in some way, then it means that you would end up losing all of your points for your flights at that point, just because you could have done something about it, you didn't. If it's kind of like riskiness or recklessness where you've booked a flight where you have a 20-minute layover somewhere and you end up missing your flight because of that, you'll earn some negative points, but you won't lose all of them because there was still the potential for you to be able to make that flight. With Nick, it seems like he's kind of gotten a little bit unfortunate with how everything's gone because his flight had been, I think, due to be scheduled to land in enough time for him to be able to get here, but there were delays taking off. And so he did arrive to Morocco in time, but he just hasn't been able to get through immigration just yet. But there is still a chance that he'll make it to the live stream. So if he does manage that, I think the penalty will be minimal for him. So we're going to wait and see kind of how that goes as well. But hopefully he'll show up at some point in the next like 20 minutes or something.
Oh, Carrie's
So-
gone too. Carrie, you're penalized.
I keep accidentally hitting the wrong keys.
Let me ask
To turn my
let me ask
camera off.
Greg, as a fellow contestant, Greg, now, would you have, if it meant completely disregarding this thing that we set up, that the judges set up for us, would you have been willing to fly premium economy?
Oh, of course. You
Mhm.
mean you mean to get here in
Your
time?
destination.
Yeah, sure. I would have flown regular economy to get here in time for the check-in.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, that's-
So should that be a question we should pose to Nick once he arrives?
I think this is a question for our viewers.
But you,
So
Tim, would you have?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I'm getting some.
But again, I'm not, and actually, to the viewers, like, we're kind of hamming it up a little bit. Like, both Greg and I have been trying to help Nick find options in terms of how to get here on time. Nobody wants Nick to be late. So it's not like we're sort of hamming it up a little bit. However, there was a conversation where Greg said, well, you could just fly economy. And Nick was like, no. I'll lose my points and take my bet in the sky.
Yeah. I tried to find for Nick a hotel named Morocco in Madrid because he would have made it here in time. I couldn't find one.
All right, I've got some viewer feedback to read, and one of them is a suggestion that I think is pretty clever, and I'm going to ask my judge what he thinks about that, because I don't want to know what you two contestants think about that. I know what you think about that. All right, this viewer says, Nick had the hardest task. He deserves consideration. Next person, I hope if Nick's delay was out of his control, then he deserves consideration. Next person, I think the additional difficulty of getting to Morocco versus mainland Europe should give Nick a slightly lower penalty. Next person, if Nick had made it on time but flown economy, how would that have compared? So here's the suggestion that I kind of like, and I want to pose to Stephen. This viewer suggests maybe Nick can get 1 extra hour because his location is 1 hour behind in his time zone compared to the other two. What do we think about that? Do we think we give him an extra hour? I don't know. On the one hand,
No, I mean it all along it's been a hard cutoff for the live stream time. So we haven't said it's from like 2 p.m. Eastern to 3:30 Eastern, so that Nick would be able to get there at 3 p.m. Eastern. So I don't think that should be allowed. And it is a good point though that like he could have booked economy or premium economy to get here on time. And if you were trying to get to a funeral or a wedding or something like that, that's probably the choice that you would have made. Like you'd like so long as it was someone like particularly important to you or something like that, you would have sucked up the discomfort and just done it.
viewers agree. Viewers agree. We've got more feedback coming in now that we've made that point. What somebody says, I think getting there on time is more important than the difference between business and economy. Someone else says, to be fair, he was probably so tired he couldn't be thinking of anything but that bed.
Well, actually, that was his
Donald.
excuse. That's what he said. He said he hadn't slept in the last few days. So his superpower has let him down. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, and it is somewhat understandable because he'd been up at what 3 a.m. or something like that to get to LAX in the first place.
Well, and then he did a red eye.
And then he ended up started flying back across the country that same night. So he hadn't been in his bed for like quite some time. So I can understand. It's a little bit like The Amazing Race where people end up going kind of like nuts and start having like the couples start having arguments with each other just because they're so tired. Their brain's just not kind of functioning on full cylinders. But at the same time, I can completely understand him needing a bed.
He's probably
so it is tough.
Here's a piece of clarification that the viewers want, and I think Stephen and I need as well to make our decision. Was the business itinerary the reason he was late? So did we confirm that there were economy flights he could have taken to get here on time? Does
Oh,
anyone know that for certain?
Undoubtedly. Yeah.
We don't. I don't think we know
How,
that for
how
certain.
undoubted is this
Oh,
Unless
undoubtedly?
it was, but it seems very,
Oh, no,
very
I mean,
likely that he could
Is
have.
it beyond a reasonable doubt?
Okay,
Yeah,
so we
no, I mean,
are
no,
fairly
I mean, it's
certain.
like to get economy availability to Europe and then to Morocco is not difficult. However, I do like Stephen's idea. There is sort of a mental anguish angle here. Like even just outside of business and premium economy, like the Amazing Race sort of thing. It's like a couple getting into an argument, but both sides of the couple are Nick. And it's like, so one side is like, no, we need to be on time. No. Let's book this other thing. And then the other side is like, but I need to sleep. I have to sleep. And so they're like warring at each other. So that's really some torturous. I mean, that's a lot to go through.
It sure is. Yeah.
I mean,
going without sleep. I mean, even if you are Nick for days on end, that's really, really tough.
Let's wrap up the kind of viewer speculation with this one last comment, and then Stephen, I want to hear your kind of conclusion. This person says, I mean, if it's a funeral, the person's dead. They won't notice if you're late, and better to be in J than wish you were dead too, dealing with why. All right, so Stephen.
Okay, thank you for that comment, Nick. So
Nixon passport control.
So what do we think? What do we think, Stephen? I think your original thought was he'll get docked, but sort of we can see he tried, so we won't get docked as though he had made an egregious error.
I think if we decide on that by like at the end of the live stream, because if he does make it onto the live stream, then I feel like that will be a mitigating circumstance as to how many points he ends up losing.
Yeah,
all right.
The accused should have an opportunity to speak on his behalf.
That is what some viewers brought up.
But if he doesn't show up for his court date, then how's he going to do that?
Well, that's a different story. If he misses the live stream completely.
Yeah, then that's different than sneaking in late to a funeral. Some folks might not notice. All right, so
yeah, he's hoping we won't notice. Now, Nick,
were you there the whole time?
So let's do the same kind of format we did last time. Greg, can we hear a summary of what you've done from when we saw you last to now to get here in style, and to meet your challenges, your mini challenges if you have so far?
Sure. So first, let me say, after the last live stream and we were given these assignments across the Atlantic, Nick, Tim, and I, sat around banging away at the computers, trying to find award space, and it was grim. I mean, it was surprisingly grim. There were quite a few options, but that would get us in too late today, or would get us in tomorrow. So it was really tough. I'll let Tim talk about his Phantom Menace, but I started just going airport to airport, starting on the West Coast, and I was going to start moving east, looking for award space from different airports, and I got very lucky. When I looked from Vancouver, I found a great option. It was one stop, KLM business class the whole way for 72,500 miles. And it was easy I had to buy a flight, but it was an expensive flight to fly to Vancouver to meet up. And I had the most relaxing start to my journey here of anyone. Tim might have had the most relaxing ending, I don't know, but I didn't have to set an alarm to wake up in the morning. My flight out wasn't until, I don't know, noonish. That was to fly to Vancouver. So I just took my time. I went to the gym and worked out, shower, took a long hot shower and everything, took my time. And then went to the airport and enjoyed the Delta Sky Club. And then the WestJet flight turned out to be much better than I expected, because I had entire exit row to myself. So I had Rhea's first class. And then in Vancouver, the Vancouver airport's beautiful. I spent a couple minutes in a lounge just getting some food, but then I was like, why am I in here? It's so much nicer out in the main area. So I went out sightseeing in the airport, and then I boarded the KLM flight, ate a very nice dinner, and I started falling asleep before dessert came. So passed on dessert and laid down. And I swear I woke up when they were making the landing announcements. So
Oh, wow.
I missed breakfast altogether, which I was happy about. Yeah, so I got here, in style, very leisurely, nice trip. It was a very nice day traveling.
So just to double check, this is a challenge, and you were
Sorry, guys.
responsible for you
Somebody's-
not getting a meal on the challenge. So does that mean that, like, given last year's challenge, you should earn negative points or something like that?
No, because I went right into the KLM lounge in Amsterdam and was able to eat to my heart's content there.
Mm,
And I would rather do that than eat, the breakfast on the plane anyway.
which looked like a very nice lounge too. And how about your mini challenges? Have you gotten to any of them yet?
I've started them, but I'm planning on doing more, I hope, if I have time here. So one of my mini challenges was to eat a food that has eyeballs or tentacles. And I went to a seafood place that a local recommended for me. And it was fun talking to the waiter who didn't speak English very well, asking, does the squid dish still have the tentacles? And he was like, tentacles? What? I'm like waving, flapping my arms and things. And so finally he understood what I was trying to say, and I was like, no, it's all like chopped up. Same with the octopus. Like I don't think it would have counted. So I ended up ordering a whole fish that had the eyeballs, and I even ate them, and they were not that good. But the rest of the fish was delicious.
If I could
I
guess,
was impressed when I saw that you ate the eyeballs, because that wasn't actually part of the challenge.
yeah, you didn't have to
I
eat the
know,
had to
eyeball.
order something with its eyeballs.
Right.
Still, you didn't say that you had to consume them. So
I'm aware of that, and I thought I needed brownie points because of the way I tackled another one of the challenges. Another challenge said, Croatians in Croatia, people enjoy water. Show us some of the ways that they enjoy water, and so I have a video of me enjoying their water.
is that safe for work, or like, is it you in your hotel having a shower, or
No,
So
he just
no, I was drinking tap water.
okay?
Totally.
I believe see if any of our viewers can guess what Tim's upstaging delivery was. I'm guessing it has to do with your challenge, Tim.
Oh, I'm sorry, what was that? Well,
Your
the
drink
nice
delivery.
the nice folks at the Park Hyatt, they brought me up an absinthe.
I figured.
I
So
mean,
is
I
it
saw
like an
you adding
absinthe
the sugar at the
candy?
top.
Like
What?
with that tonic water going in it or something?
No, so normally what you would do, like traditionally with absinthe, you would have like a sugar cube at the bottom of the glass, and you drip the absinthe over the top and melt the sugar cube, and then you would add water to like weaken it up, because like absinthe is, hard liquor. But so they just brought me granulated sugar. It's okay. They were cool.
As
It's
soon
very
as I saw
thoughtful.
that,
It was very
that
thoughtful of them
sugar.
to send it up here. I was really impressed with the service.
So before we dive into that more, because I do want to hear about that, obviously, Greg, I want to know, how confident are you for our well, now we have 3 categories to discuss. We've got the
Hold that thought 1 second. Someone is knocking at the door.
oh, who is
Let's
that?
see who
You're
it is.
also ordering it?
Let's see. No, let's see who it is.
Did Greg have eyeballs delivered to his room?
Wait, he's coming. He's coming. There he is.
Oh,
He's
genuinely
connecting to
shocked.
audio.
Genuinely
Hello,
shocked.
hello.
Hello.
All right, Nick, we have to hear, where are you?
I am in Marrakesh. I just landed in Marrakesh, and I landed about a little more than an hour ago, but I just got through Customs and Immigration. So here I am in the Marrakesh airport.
at 2:20 p.m. All right, so 20 minutes. What do we think? Do we pause on Greg's explanation of what he did to hear Nick's case on why we should or shouldn't judge him as being terribly late?
Can I propose that we actually let Nick, because Nick's gonna have to describe what he's been doing. So I think Nick can tell his story, his tale in a way that lets us all know that really
Yes.
it's completely out of his control.
All right, let's hear it, Nick.
That's
What have
well,
you been up
it's
to
like-
since we saw you left?
That's a lot of pressure. So let's see. Well, you saw me last in Los Angeles, I guess, right? So since then, I flew to Chicago that night. That same a few hours after that, that meeting when we got the reveal. I flew to Chicago because it's like in the middle of the country, and I felt like it gave me a good chance at getting across the pond in a variety of different ways. Like whether I flew from there to New York or DC or even west to Denver, or even as far as Seattle or Vancouver. It just seemed like I was within a couple of hours of each airport. If I stayed in LA by morning time, if I took like a 9 a.m. flight to New York, I wouldn't get to New York until 5 or 6 p.m. And so I'd be cutting it close against flights that go transatlantic at that point. So I tried to get halfway. Unfortunately, somewhere in there, I realized on the way to the airport that Royal Air Maroc had availability on their New York flight, but only if you had it connecting beyond Casablanca. And so that's why I hadn't seen it. I'd been looking for it, but hadn't seen it available all night because I hadn't looked at it with any connections. So anyway, I tried to get to New York in time for that, and I just couldn't make it to New York in time. I booked a flight to LaGuardia from Chicago, but because of where my flight landed at 5 a.m. in Chicago and where that next flight was taking off at 6 a.m., there was no shuttle bus between the terminals because of the hour. And so it was going to be too long to exit security, take a train, go through security again, and get there in time for it to board. So I couldn't get to New York, so I had to drop back 10 yards in front. I looked for everything I could possibly try to find. I wanted to find any way to get across the pond, but unfortunately, many of the flights were just landing just a little bit too late because flights to Morocco from a lot of places in Europe are either early in the morning or late in the afternoon, evening. And so finding something that would get me here, really finding anything to get across the pond was tough, as I'm sure Greg and Tim have probably already said. But anyway, so eventually I stumbled on this itinerary from Dallas to Paris to Madrid, and I didn't have time to waste to decide, okay, well, is that going to work or not? I knew that there were direct flights from Madrid to a couple of places in Morocco, and there was only one seat, and I had to book it quickly because I also had to book a positioning flight from Chicago to get to Dallas to take that. So I jumped on it right away without even knowing exactly how I was going to get to Morocco from Madrid. And then as I got looking at the options from Madrid, there were only 2 flights taking off after I arrived that would arrive in Morocco in time for this 7 o'clock check-in. One of them was only available on cash, not as an award. I think it was something like $500. The other was an inexpensive Ryanair flight, but it was landing at 6:45 p.m. So that only gave me 15 minutes before check-in time. That didn't seem realistic. So I got looking from Paris, and I booked a flight from Paris to Casablanca. And I thought that was all well and good until I get to the final stage of the booking process, and I realized it wasn't from Charles de Gaulle, it was from Paris-Orly, the other Paris airport. But I did the math and I said, well, I can probably make that. And so I booked it. And then I got to the gate to board my flight, and there was a maintenance issue. It took a lot longer to get through that from Dallas to Paris. And so that delayed my departure from Dallas by an hour. And as I got doing the math, I realized I don't know that I can make the flight because I had to go through immigration when I got to Paris, and then I'd have to transfer 45 minutes to Orly Airport. And I realized that would have to get lucky. It wasn't a shoo-in that I would make that. And if I missed it and I went all the way to Orly, then I would have been stuck there with no chance of making it in time for check-in. So I ultimately decided to cancel that booking. There was an EasyJet flight from Paris, Charles de Gaulle, the airport I was in, at 3:35 that was scheduled to land at 6:05 p.m. in Marrakesh. And it did. I think we landed at 6:08 p.m. actually local time, which would have been 1:08 p.m. Eastern time. 52 minutes before this started, and I figured that would be plenty of time for me to arrive and get through immigration. And I had a coffee and a Coke and a water on the plane, And when I got to immigration and saw that the line was hundreds of people deep, I realized, oh, I got to turn back around and go to the bathroom first. uh, so I had to go to the bathroom and then come back online and wait through a really long line. So I've been here since 6:08, but I was in line waiting for immigration and then customs. But now I'm through. So I've been in Morocco since before the check-in time. That ought to count for something, right?
And how many
Well,
challenges have you gotten done? How many explorations have you gotten done since arriving in Morocco?
Well, since arriving in Morocco, I found the place where I'm going to have dinner tonight and check off my challenge boxes. I'm actually really excited about dinner tonight. I can't wait. So,
Going to the Indiana Jones Cafe.
I don't know for sure whether I'll get all three, but that's mostly a function of the fact that I've never seen Indiana Jones, so I'm not exactly sure. But
I feel like that's an automatic loss of points there.
I can't believe you slept on the flight over instead of staying up and watching all or five, however many movies there are.
I considered.
I think our viewers do want to know, and your competitors also, why not economy? Could you have gotten here sooner in economy, and why not economy?
To be honest, there weren't a lot of very attractive economy options either. I probably could have gotten here a little bit sooner in economy. Why not economy? I mean, I had slept about 5 hours the night before flying to Los Angeles. And then I flew from Los Angeles to Chicago overnight, which is only a 4-hour flight. And I spent about half of it searching for ways to get to New York or to get other availability to get across the pond, and also figure out, okay, well, where would I stay? Would I go to Casablanca? Would I go to Marrakesh, et cetera? And I had to think, I mean, you have to remember that we're playing long game here too. So be somewhere else also. And so I had to look at connectivity to get other places from here too. So I spent a couple hours doing it. So I slept for about 2 hours on that flight sitting up. So over 2 nights, I had about 7 hours of sleep. I couldn't face like a whole night out of my class. I needed a bed. So I was pretty exhausted in Chicago all day. And I just couldn't face the possibility of not sleeping again or sleeping a couple of hours. I mean, I'm pretty good at falling asleep and all. I did sleep about half the 3-hour flight from Paris to here. But yeah, I couldn't do another uncomfortable night. I had to find something with a bed, and I found something with a bed, and everything was scheduled to get me here on time. And in fact, I avoided the reckless option, which would have been to go to Orly, because then I would have
noticed that
sooner. That would have been like I would have definitely gotten to Casablanca at 3:50 p.m. So I would have landed in plenty of time. But it would have been reckless. I would have been spending frequent milers money on an Uber that was like 72 euros for a drive that said it was an hour and 14 minutes, that optimistically would have gotten me to the airport 30 minutes before boarding, and I'd have to go through security and passport control, assuming there was no more traffic. And then I got in a car immediately the moment that I opened the door, which that was even possible. So the less reckless option, judges, I should get points for that, right?
Well, that's a good lead into Stephen. Do you want to summarize our thoughts, or should we reveal that at the end once everyone else has shared their?
I think if we reveal that at the end, we'll let him sweat a little bit.
All right, we'll let you sweat a little
because
bit.
He hasn't been sweating for the last 3 days.
So I think, does that appropriately recap kind of most of what you've done?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Plenty.
All right. We don't have to hear about all the failed other attempts. I think we already saw that in a reel anyway. So I think that puts us to Tim. We want to hear
Greg,
how you got to where you are.
I don't think Greg finished his story.
Greg, did you have anything to add to your story?
You
could share your hotel. We haven't discussed anybody's hotel bookings yet.
Oh yeah. Okay. So
let's hear about your
hotel story. So the one little snafu I've had in all the journey so far is
rub it in that you've only had one, Greg. Go ahead.
The only one is last night. I really wanted to stay at the Canopy by Hilton in Zagreb, but it was too cheap in cash and too expensive in points to pay with points, because then I would get docked for bad value. So what I decided to do was to redeem my Capital One shopping cash back for a hotels.com gift card and use that to just pay for the night at the Canopy. And so that was last night from Amsterdam, I think. No, from Vancouver, I think is when I was doing this. And and on the checkout, it did say it may take up to 24 hours to process this request. I thought, oh, they just put that there as like a warning, just in case it takes longer than it should. Because how long could it take to do a digital gift card? Come on. So yeah, so I by the time I boarded, I still hadn't gotten the gift card, and I signed up for Wi-Fi, and because you have to pay for it with KLM, which even in business class, unfortunately, and it didn't come, and after dinner and when I was falling asleep, it still hadn't come. So I was like, all right, I will wait and worst case, book the hotel when I get to Croatia. And, because it's got to be here by then. And so in Amsterdam, it still wasn't there. And I got to the Zagreb airport, still wasn't there. I still haven't gotten it now. So anyway, so I went to plan B, which was not a bad plan at all. There's a Hilton Garden Inn, which is what I'm in, which actually was decent value for points, 20,000 points for $120 night. So 0.6 cents, which I feel like as long as I get better than half a cent per point with Hilton, I'm happy. So that's what I did.
Right. And how confident are you feeling for our categories that we're scoring, which is, again, travel experience, travel value, hotel experience, hotel value, and your mini challenges?
Wow, that's a lot of categories.
It is. So give us a general, what do you feel confident about? What don't you feel confident about?
Yeah. So the comfort, I think, is where I have a very good chance of coming in first on that. I think yeah. The experience, I think when Tim tells the story of the train and going to Basel and everything, he's probably going to win that. So I'm thinking maybe I'll come in second.
Well, you had more leisure time though, and
I
Steven
did,
had
and
leisure
I
time
did.
on the travel. So don't cook your chickens Latin yet.
I did do tourism in a whole foreign country along the way.
Totally.
So
Got it all.
Without even leaving the airport.
Without even leaving the airport in Canada. And if you haven't seen those stories on Instagram, check those out. And yeah, so and as far as the exploration challenges, I don't feel great about them. They were so geared towards being in a waterside town and landlocked here. And yes, I could go out to a lake or to a river, but there's so little time. I don't think that's going to happen.
All right.
Have you seen any sprinklers in Zagreb? Because I think Greg the Frequent Miler running through sprinklers in Croatia would be quality content.
Yeah,
that would get bonus points. I would think.
I probably would.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right. Tim,
I'll look tomorrow morning.
We need to hear your stories.
Yeah, still have a day.
That's true. That's true. Actually, that's a clarification for our viewers. Our contestants have until they leave the country to finish these challenges. So the mini challenges did not have to be done before the meeting.
Yeah. Another quick thing is that the hotel experience will hold off on awarding points for that, just because Nick hasn't even had a chance to check into his hotel yet. So we haven't really got. I mean, I haven't had a chance to catch up on the stories this morning, so I don't know if there's been much about the hotels that Greg and Tim are staying at the moment. But I'm thinking if we wait until the next time for scoring those, but we can certainly score the hotel value because we know what they've all redeemed for.
And we may be able to get those scorings in by the time our judge post goes out tonight, potentially. So that should be scheduled for tonight. So you can check the post. So Tim, let's hear you tell the story of what you did since we saw you last.
Well, so I as Greg and Nick have both already described, right after the live stream, we were immediately hammering away at the computers. And what I think is, just to go back a little bit, and don't get me wrong, there's some competitiveness here, but it took us about 30 minutes before we were all trying to help each other find stuff. Like it was like, hey, this is here. Hey, I see this here. Hey, would this work for you here? So I mean, and that also is a measure of how bleak the stuff from LA, because there was literally nothing leaving from LA that night. Everything had left before the live stream. So we were either looking at positioning to the East Coast or waiting a full day like Greg and I did to take something from the West Coast. So anyway, Nick actually found some, and maybe Nick knew about all this, and he was trying to send me down this path. I don't know, but he found 3 seats nonstop from Chicago to Zurich on Swiss Air on Aeroplan.
Locked it right up for you, Tim.
And it was like 3 seats. And actually, what I was saying, I was like, hey guys, you know what we should do? Let's all take the same flight, and then you guys can just like, that would be awesome if we were, we get the 3 different destinations, but we literally end up on the same plane. That would have been a bad suggestion in hindsight. I saw it was there. It was like at 7:15 the next night. So it was like, perfect, plenty of time. I can sleep in, take a flight to Chicago. I just have to get there by 7, and then it's nonstop directly to Zurich on a product I've never flown before. Perfect. And so then I was like, well, I have a pretty strong hunch that we're going somewhere in Southeast Asia, and I'd be willing to bet 20,000 Aeroplan points on a stopover and do a multi-stop itinerary. And then that's really going to get Steven's value juices flowing if he knows that I got from Europe to Southeast Asia in business class for an additional 20,000 points. So I, did some more searching, and then I found, oh my gosh, there's this flight that works perfectly that goes from Zurich to Lufthansa to Bangkok in like 13 hours. Perfect. The whole thing should cost about a little over 92,000 miles, 22,000 or points, 22,000 more than the thing that I was going to book. And then I went to price it online. It didn't work. So then I had to, go into the abyss of the Air Canada customer contact center. So I'm waiting on hold. And while I'm waiting on hold, all of a sudden I see the availability's gone. And I'm like, oh crap. So we go back and I'm like, I'm going back to square one here. And then it comes back. So I'm like, okay, just a booking engine thing. So then I finally get on with Air Canada after about 45 minutes of holding. And the first person I talked to, she listens to my whole story of what I want to do. And she's like, oh, that sounds like a great trip, but I can't book award flights. I'm not trained on that.
Oh, no.
Could you send me to somebody that would? So she transferred me again. And then I talk, the next guy picks up and I tell him the same thing. And his first response is, so you don't actually want to fly on Air Canada?
Oh boy.
So then he couldn't find the flight. And I'm like, it's because you don't know what, I mean, internally I'm thinking, and I feel bad for this now. It's because you don't know what you're doing, because you don't even realize that you have partner flights, But so then as he's telling me that he can't find the flight, and I'm like, can you please check again? Please, I can see it right here. I refresh my screen, it's gone again. I'm like, uh-oh. So I get off the phone and I see the same space on United. I try to book it on United, just to Zurich, and it's gone. And I'm like, oh no, it was Phantom Space. Because when I got to the booking, it aired out on United. So then I'm going back, and I had seen some space earlier from Seattle to Frankfurt on Lufthansa, but I hadn't seen it come up. All of a sudden, when I added the Zurich connection to it, it popped back up on Aeroplan. And I had been actually trying to steer away from Lufthansa. I'd never flown it before, but I'd heard, it's the, terrible first class product or business class product, all that stuff. But I'm like, hey, it's a bet across the sky, and it's a great itinerary. I'll take it. And then of course I'm then thinking, hey, I can do that multi-stop itinerary. So I call the Air Canada contact center again, or the Aeroplan customer contact center, wait on hold again, and then talk to the person, tell the person the story again. And the person says, oh, I'm sorry, our award booking team is off duty for the night. They won't be back for another 5 hours. So I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna book this thing. So then I was able to get a good value flight the next morning from Seattle to, or from LA to Seattle, which is ironic that I actually went back to Seattle to take the flight after I just came back the night before or the day before. Had a really quick layover, only about an hour and 15 minutes. I pounded out the update, got on the plane. I actually really enjoyed the flight in some ways. I'll publish a full thing about it later, but I really loved the seat. It's one of the most comfortable seats I've been in for a 6'3" guy to sleep. Especially, I'm a stomach sleeper, so too much information I know, but I'm, you know. So as soon as I booked that flight, I knew that I'd be getting to Frankfurt at around 9, and I had about a 3.5 hour layover in Frankfurt, within another hour flight to Zurich, and then, you know, you have to get out of the plane and you have to get all the stuff, and then it's another 30-minute drive from Zurich to the Park Hyatt where I'm at now. And I wasn't super into Zurich, honestly, the whole time. Like, I kind of, there's other parts of Switzerland that I kind of wanted to see anyway. And so then I started looking at train options, and there were some good train options going through Basel, home of Roger Federer, and even more importantly, the ancestors of Carrie Yoder.
It's true.
Her ancestor Heine Yoder actually lived in Heine was
He was arrested there.
he was a Basel.
It's true.
But so then I was going back and forth because I knew Stephen was gonna rustle his value hairs if I pay a perfectly good business class flight and then paid more to take a train instead. I was like, well, that just sounds like more fun. So I was able to book and I in the process discovered that, so Germany, they have these they call them bond cards, or like discount cards for train travel. They give you like 25% off, and I had bought one last year because it paid for itself on a trip that my wife and I took from Austria to Germany, and it was still valid. So I was able to get the thing that should cost about $80 for $60 all the way through with the stopover in Basel. And so I was able to and I got in early, so I was able to take an early train, got there in time for lunch, had my food challenge, did my over the hills challenge, took a ferry across the Rhine. I spent about 3.5 hours. It was a fun day. And then took the train back up to Zurich. But there is something about the Park Hyatt that I should mention, because I didn't want to go to the Park Hyatt originally, because I'm like, everybody's going to think you're going to go to the Park Hyatt in Zurich. And so I looked literally all over this whole entire country. And like Greg said, the redemption rates sucked across the programs. Like they sucked. And there was some places that are like, you know, it's like, oh, there's a good deal on this ski resort that you have to take that will take me 8 hours to get to, and that there's no snow at, which is why it's cheap. So I saw that they had a standard suite availability at the Park Hyatt, and the standard suite that I'm in right now, the cash rate is $2,400 a night. So I'm like, well, that's decent value, even though it's a lot of points. And so I slept on it. And then I woke up the next morning, the standard suite was still there. The standard room was not. And I had planned to book a standard room and a suite upgrade to get to the standard suite.
Right.
So of course I'm doing the thing now again. I'm like on the app checking, is the room going to come available? So finally, my Hyatt concierge has never actually introduced themselves to me. I have no idea if it's I have no idea who they are. So I reached out to the Hyatt Twitter team, knowing that probably nothing would happen. Said, you know, I've had luck sometimes before asking a hotel, saying, this is what I want to do. Would you be willing to open up some space, knowing that I'm just going to go directly to the suite?
Right.
And, you know, they gave me the song and dance. Well, we can't talk to a hotel about availability. It's on our screen, blah, blah, blah. So I just reached out directly to the Park Hyatt. And I said, hey, anyway, you can, you know, if you open it up, it's going to immediately disappear. So they opened up a 2 twin room standard room for me that I then booked and was able to apply the category to get here.
Nice.
And so I got here about 5:15. Had some time to take a walk around. I was gonna get some absinthe, but then I thought, you know, I bet you the Park Hyatt's gonna take care of me. And the other fun thing, you know, I should actually, well, I won't get up again. But so when I got to the room, I was like, well, there's weird. There's no welcome amenity. Like, so far the service here has been fantastic. And Greg told me about that. I mean, it's just like over the top fantastic. Like, it's weird that they don't have a welcome amenity for the globalists. Like the GM came out and like met me, but before I went up to my room. And then all of a sudden I get this knock on the door, and oh, Mr. Steinker, so glad you're here. Here's a fruit tray, and here's a little gift we have for you, a little welcome gift. I hope you enjoy it. So I open it up, and it's a box. I'm thinking, oh, it's truffles or some. I mean, not your dog, Steven.
It's okay. I just saw her like just a
That would
second.
be-
So
Yeah, no, there's
It's
no way
very
the truffles was in
suspicious.
that box. Okay. But then it's this box, and I open it up, and there's this like nice little, like almost jewelry bag that says "luxury is personal" on it. And I open it up, and it's like this little leather credit card holder. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then I look at it, and I realize my initials are monogrammed on it.
Wow.
They delivered a monogrammed
Yeah, that's
leather that was made by the Rolls-Royce people. And I'm sure they do. I mean, I'm sure this is a thing that they do, but
how
it's
did
like,
they have time to
oh.
do that?
That's
I mean,
impressive. That's
we
the
know this
tagline.
is the last
and then they
minute.
delivered the absinthe so that I could complete my third challenge before the end of the meeting.
I think
good
they
guys.
win.
But
Can
yeah,
you,
nice.
can you ask them to have some squids and things delivered to my room here? I think they would
I
do
don't
it.
think
if
you're
you
going to
asked.
want to pay switch on the prices, Craig.
Or maybe
Well,
like
that's-
maybe like a waterfall or something a little more like this.
Oh, there. Yeah.
Actually, I
Deliver
asked him
a
to do my
waterfall to
water.
my.
I asked him to do my water enjoyment for me. That's why he went on.
Yeah.
All right. So Stephen, I think it's time for us to start talking scoring.
Wait.
Yes.
I just wanted to mention one more thing about the hotels I forgot to say. You know, that hotel I wanted to stay at, the Canopy. I looked on Fine Hotels and Resorts because I've got a $200 Fine Hotels and Resorts credit. It's not there, but it is under the hotel collection, which requires 2 nights. So it was like, if I knew that I was staying for 2 nights, I could have, taken advantage of that, gotten $200 off, stayed where I wanted, and gotten $100, hotel credit as part of that deal. But darn it.
So Stephen,
I have
logistical
hotel,
question.
actually. Like,
What?
should I share where I'm staying or no?
Oh yeah, Nick should share. Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead and share your hotel story.
Okay. So I didn't know where I was going, and even like as I boarded the flight, like I said, I realized that it was an hour delayed because of the maintenance issue. So as we boarded, I was like scrambling to figure out, okay, am I going to be able to make that flight to Casablanca or not? And I figured I wouldn't. And so after we took off, thanks to the fact that I had free Wi-Fi, unlike Greg, I'll mention, it wasn't free. I have the Aviator Silver card, and so that provides
Oh no.
Come back to your story later.
Starlink.
Oh no. Does anyone happen to know this story already? He's probably kept it on lock.
I think he can tell the
I
story
mean,
good.
I can read out what he told us earlier. Yeah, Nick, we can't hear you at the moment.
Yeah, so shut up.
He did.
Oh, poor Nick.
American for the transatlantic is $35.
I'm guessing he's found
No,
out by now.
you guys can solve. You can.
We can't hear you, Nick, so we might put you on mute.
I should have done that. I can control that. I should have thought of that.
No.
Sorry, Nick.
Move on.
So as a
Heck of a beatbox.
quick recap, just because I don't think anyone on the live stream would have worked out what it was he was saying, the hotel he's booked is the I don't know quite how to pronounce this, the Rian Siwan, which is a Mr. and
Yeah.
Mrs. Smith property. He used points to book that, even though Mr. and Mrs. Smith using higher points isn't always great value. So it costs 22,500 points, and the cash rate would have been $275. However, he was targeted for an offer a few days ago for 20% back on all his award bookings in the next 90 days. So he's going to be getting 4,500 higher points back. So it's effectively only 15,000 points for a $275. Okay, I'm a little confused by the math on that because he said it's a net 15,000 points, but that should be like 18,000 points or something.
Yeah,
like
he corrected 18,000 here.
Oh, he did.
in the
Oh,
chat.
okay, cool.
Yeah.
Oh,
in the
okay.
chat.
And so it means that he gets to check off Mr. and Mrs. Smith from his Brand Explorer, which is number 14 for him, and he's going to be getting brand number 15 this summer in Japan, and so that'll get him a free night certificate. And the
Nice.
place gets great reviews and looks pretty cool, and it might give some Indiana Jones vibes. So, so that's what he's,
Saved by the hotel.
yeah.
Nice. Can somebody give Nick like a whiteboard or something that he can just
Oh, well, I'm glad he can hear us so he can participate from his side. So I think we've got a good idea of what everybody did. I think our viewers are caught up now. Stephen, let's start talking through our scoring. So let's start with the flight value. How did everybody rank?
So flight value, this is a tricky one for first and second place. So I guess we'll start with third place will be Nick with 1 point because he did have to redeem more miles than everybody else. His taxes and fees were actually lower than everyone else, but not by a significant enough amount to kind of make a difference with the placing. So Nick had to redeem 25,000 Alaska miles, 13,000 American Airlines miles, 57,500 American Airlines miles, and 6,000 Qantas. Is it Qantas points or Qantas miles? But either way, 6,000. And so it wasn't the most amazing redemption in the world, but he still got. Oh, actually, no, I tell a lie because I guess he. Oh no, he also had the cash ticket on EasyJet, but that was only like 30 a net $31 because he'll be able to apply Ritz-Carlton credit card credits to that. So so yeah, just 1 point for Nick, unfortunately, in the travel value.
But at least it's not zero.
Yes. For Greg and Tim, it's pretty hard because their redemptions were incredibly similar in terms of how many miles they had to redeem and how much cash they had to fork out. So Greg redeemed 72,500 Flying Blue miles and had $262 of taxes and fees. And then his cash ticket up to Vancouver was $264.50, but most of that was covered by Delta credits that he already had. So he was only $16.40 out of pocket. So that's pretty good. Tim had to redeem 15,000 American Airlines miles and 70,000 Aeroplan points. He had just over $100 worth of taxes and fees, and then it was like a net $68 for his train ticket. So overall, it's fairly similar redemptions. And so this is particularly tough because there's two other factors to take into account. Tim's cent per points value was better than Greg's because I haven't actually done the like full calculation, but he got probably close to the like 9 or 10 cents per point of value or something based on the cash cost of the flight, whereas Greg's was I think like 5 or 6 cents per point or something. So either way, they both did very well with their miles to get that kind of value. The other factor though is the fact that Greg's Flying Blue points came about as the result of a 150% transfer bonus from Bill. And so in reality, the number of original points that he'd had to transfer was effectively 48,333 build points. Oh, we have a hand up. What's up, Tim?
Well, so first, let me say that the calculations, I didn't realize that we could take out credits or transfer bonuses that we didn't use specifically for the challenge. So I actually had 60,000 built point, or I did use 30,000 built points to transfer to turn into 60,000 Aeroplan points during the 100% transfer bonus.
Okay.
So if we're actually going to take those out, then you could call it 30,000 built points, 10,000 Aeroplan points, and whatever. Just saying.
Yep.
Also,
that is useful to know, but that just makes the decision even harder now. So just
also the credits. I have not been factoring into any of these, and I would actually, you guys can decide what you're gonna do. But just so you know, I haven't factored when credits are covering anything. Because I figure if I have cash, like if I have Alaska wallet cash that I've used to pay for credits, I don't count that because it's cash that I could otherwise use elsewhere. Like it's not I didn't get it through. Actually, no, I kind of did get it through that. Anyway, go ahead. But I did want to point out the transfer bonus. If we're
Okay,
gonna start
yeah, yep, no, that is absolutely good information to know, because it was going to be the case that Greg was going to earn 3 points and Tim would earn 2 points. But now, taking that into account, I think Tim got ever so slightly better value. So Tim will earn the 3 points and Greg will earn the 2 points. So
All right,
good
let me
last minute
do-
save
I'm
there.
fine with that.
let me
I
do
think
my
that's-
recalculation here in my little charts, but go on.
Oh no. Charts were already
Yeah,
calculated.
Grace,
No,
like,
no,
I
they-
have to do the
they weren't-
graphics for the-"
They're digital. I can
Oh,
change
digital
them.
graphics, that's right.
They're not printed. Yeah, don't worry.
You have to,
So
you have to
next
redraw
up-
those.
Next up, we have the
Yeah.
travel experience. So again, I guess we'll start with last place again for this one. I think it's kind of inevitable what's going to happen here, and so I'm sorry, Nick, but ultimately you do get 1 point for the travel experience. And that's with all of our sympathies, because it does seem like
It's basically a pity point.
travel experience.
Aw,
that you've had.
sad Nick.
I'm sorry, Nick.
Yeah, but yeah, it just has to be done. So, and this next stage again, it's a really hard one, because Greg and Tim had pretty similar travel experiences overall in terms of comfort and quality and things like that. They both flew business class across the Atlantic, both had a comfortable positioning flight up from LAX to Seattle and Vancouver. So this was a pretty tough one.
So
However-
can we lobby a little bit here?
Oh,
about
yep,
that?
yep. Actually, that would be really good.
Tim-
Yeah,
Tim just
So-
lobbied,
tell us
so
more on why you think we should pick you.
Yeah, so the overseas flight, yes, I know that Tim said it was super comfortable, but I don't think he mentioned that it was a 2x2 seat arrangement in the cabin. So he probably had a neighbor sitting right next to him, up close and personal. I had a suite with a door. You know, so I didn't even know KLM had doors. I think I forgot about that. So I was pretty surprised to see that. So, you know, because the KLM flight was a 1x2x1 arrangement, and closed my door, went to sleep. I had a best sleep I've ever had on a plane.
what do you think, Stephen?
Do you want to lobby for yourself at all, Tim, or is that
All of
right now?
all of the lobbying that I need to do, Stephen, it has nothing to do with points. It has to do with the blissful 8 hours of sleep that I had, fully stretched out on
We have-
my extra padding, love seat, I believe they're called, that I could actually adjust the firmness of the bed. It was like a sleep number. except
Did you
for-
cuddle up with the passenger next to you? Was that like?
You know, but
Is that why they call it a love seat?
This is a complete aside, but probably the two most comfortable beds I've been on, like just the beds, have been Avianca, or not Avianca, I'm sorry, Latam, thank you, Latam. And this. And like for a big, like, I don't know if there's something about the 2x2, like, I don't know if it's because they have more space because they don't have all the cubicles, but it's weird. So anyway.
Oof, what do we think?
So
Stephen, do we need-
my question is, Stephen, so you're counting my cash costs for the train into the value, but you're not counting the train into the experience.
Oh no, I have been including the train in the experience.
Oh, okay, never mind then.
So yeah, okay. So this does make it tough, because I had been like, I'd originally put down that Tim would earn 3 points for experience because of including the train, and it seemed like a kind of fun travel experience. But in terms of the flight, it does sound like Greg had a better flight experience. Like, you did sleep really well and things, but
Oof.
for your average person, I feel like people would generally prefer Greg's experience. So this does just make it.
I tried to ask our viewers real quick in the chat, and they're pretty split too. So, okay, viewers, you get 10 seconds left to put in the name of the person you think should get this 3 points.
You know what? I think Greg should get the 3 points.
Well, the viewers disagree.
And,
Now,
Nick
and I'm not
agrees
saying,
because-
and I'm not saying that because like I would take mine every time. Like I slept better on that Lufthansa flight than I would have ever slept at KLM, and I enjoyed the train more. For me, that was a better itinerary. But
So
maybe, but I'm not Steven, and so Steven's the one that's doing the judging. So Stephen and
the
Greg
viewers
raised
are
some
making
more
it clear though, and this is not the same person commenting a million times. I'm watching for that. It looks like while there are still votes for Greg, it's coming out pretty clearly for Tim.
Okay.
For
And you know what? I think I will go with like my original decision at Tim also just because that Latam flight was one of the best sleeps that I've ever had as well. And so thinking about it, knowing that and that you had a similar experience on this latest flight might make me more likely to want to book that in the future, even though it's a 2-2, because usually my wife and I are flying to Europe together and things like that. So being in a 2-2-2 formation wouldn't actually bother us because we'd be flying together. So yeah, Tim, you earn the 3 points for the travel experience. Greg, you earn the 2 points.
And
Yeah,
thank
well,
you to our
I'm
viewers
abstaining
for
from voting
helping
for
us
Greg. I just want that to
resolve.
Oh, and should have mentioned earlier that we actually need to revise the points from the last live stream because a comment
Also
on the
based
blog
on
pointed
reader
out
feedback.
something interesting because we had awarded Nick's eyes are getting wide. So this actually benefits you, Nick. So this puts you ever so slightly closer. So before we had awarded Greg 3 points, Nick 2 points, and
For which?
Oh, actually, no, it doesn't put you any closer, Nick, but it doesn't put you any further away. This was for the sorry to get your hopes up. So this was for the distance, the guess of the distance to the destination. So
So
someone
the
pointed out
exploration
in the
challenge.
comments, yeah, on the judges post that awarding like 3, 2, and 1 didn't really make all that much sense given that's how many points you can earn for booking great flights and things like that. And so just happening to guess which country's closest didn't really seem on a par with that. And so we're going to revise the scoring. So rather than 3, 2, 1, it's basically going to be the person who gets closest just gets 1 point and that's it. So Greg does get 1 point, but that does mean I think though that Tim is the one who actually ends up benefiting because he'd only earned 1 point before, so that puts him 1 point closer to Greg.
Tim is getting
It's
lots of
further
points.
away.
actually that makes me share second with Nick. I've been wanting to share second with you for a while, buddy.
Wait, make sure I'm understanding that correctly. So instead of giving 3, 2, and 1, we're just giving 1 point to Greg.
1 point
Yes,
to Greg,
okay.
and that's it.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm gonna have to revise all these charts, so I'm not even gonna try to keep them updated in
Yeah,
real
don't
time
do it-
anymore.
Don't do it live.
Nope, not gonna do it live. Yep. So now let's talk. So we've scored the flights for value and experience. So next, do we talk hotel value, even though we can't talk hotel experience yet?
Yeah,
Let's go over
I
that
think
part.
hotel value we can cover. So just as a very quick recap, can everyone just share what you booked it with again?
I booked a Hilton for 20,000 points. It would have cost 120 US roughly.
And how about you, Tim?
I think Stephen, Nick, you may need to speak for Nick.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, true.
I assume.
Oh no, no, hey.
Okay, we can hear you.
fine.
Well, we can hear you.
Give it a
Tell us
shot,
what's
Nick.
quick.
Oh, so 18,000 points for a night that would have cost 275. Checks off a brand from Brand Explorer. Finally gets me a chance to experience Mr. and Mrs. Smith and see what all the hubbub is about. So 1.5 cents per point and checking off a Brand Explorer.
All right. So Tim, your summary.
I used 40,000 Hyatt points and a suite night upgrade and got the park suite at the Park Hyatt Zurich, which the cash rate was 20 for Hyatt members. The cash rate was $22,378.
All right. So Stephen, what do you think?
This is another tough one to judge because there's all different kinds of ways that you can assess value here. And so
It is tough.
I'm going to start in last place, and then I'll discuss the other two after. So last place, I'm going to award 1 point to Greg. So he certainly didn't get poor value from his points, but like, and redeeming 20,000 points for a hotel night isn't bad, but it also wasn't amazing. But he also got a little bit unfortunate with the whole Hotels.com gift card kind of situation. So he might have been able to get better value with that. But it didn't really work out. But he's not necessarily far behind on the value aspect. But I feel like first and second place is down to the other two guys. And this is where it gets tricky, because it's kind of like frugality versus like great kind of cash value and great experience. But because we're taking into account experience in a whole separate section, it does make it really tough, because being able to book a suite that's worth almost $2,500 with 40,000 Hyatt points, that's pretty good value in terms of the cash rate and things. I just have a really hard time redeeming that many Hyatt points for a stay. Like if it was something like super special, and here's the thing, I guess, is this challenge like a honeymoon special or something like that? Because if it is, then
I think funeral.
like, or an anniversary or something like that.
Tons of love seats.
Yes. But because if it was like 40,000 points a night isn't necessarily too bad. And it's funny that a Mr. and Mrs. Smith booking with Hyatt points is in the running for possible.
That's impressive, isn't it?
I want to get targeted for this 20%. Everybody else is getting targeted for this stupid thing, and I'm not. It's so
Sorry to hear that.
No, I wasn't either. Yeah.
Oh, you
There's
have
also a really
anyway. Sorry.
There was
So,
a really
Steven,
cheap
I wanna
Mr.
help.
Mrs. Smith too. There was one that was only $150, so it was even fewer points. But I debated between the two, and I went with the one I did because it looked like the experience was going to be better. They specifically mentioned that the rooms are air conditioned, and the other one did not. So we'll go a little bit.
That's a selling point.
I was looking at
Uh,
those same ones, and it's like, oh wow, like they're actually there's some that aren't air conditioned. Oh, okay. Morocco and
But
June.
Stephen, I'm going to interrupt, because Stephen, you did make up your mind though. I think
I
you're
did.
explaining
But
the on the
before you say it,
fenceness.
Before you
Alright,
say,
yeah.
keep in mind that I paid half as many Hilton points for a night at a hotel as Tim paid in Hyatt points.
That is true.
Just got a night at a hotel, so
Greg's right. Greg's right. Yeah.
So yeah, so
So
3
what
points.
was it, Stephen?
So 3
We've already
points.
got 1 point.
3 points are going to go to Nick. So
Wow.
yeah, and 2
Nick
points to
and-
Tim. Just because based on how, because again, this is kind of based on what I would probably be more likely to book. I think I would be more likely to go with Nick's option. And he is saved by that 20% rebate, because if it wasn't, then yeah, he wouldn't have ended up getting that. But I'm getting those points back. Getting a cent and a half cents per point value from Hyatt isn't amazing, but because the redemption was cheaper overall, 18,000 points rather than 40,000. But I have a feeling that Tim will probably end up scoring higher on the experience than next one once we have more of a chance to look at all their different hotels. So we'll see how it goes with that.
And the 2 points, who did that go to?
And the 2 points to Tim.
All right, to Tim and 1 to Greg. All right, I am trying to speed us along a little bit because we have now been online for an hour and people are waiting to find out what happens next. Let's
happens
real
next?
quick.
For God's
Let's real
sakes.
quick discuss challenges. So, Greg, you already told us the mini challenge. Can you real quick summarize again how you achieved your mini challenges of trying to eat something with eyeballs or tentacles, trying to experience the water, and trying to find out why black risotto is black?
Okay, so for the eyeballs or tentacles, I ordered a whole fish that included the eyeballs, and I actually have a video of me eating the eyeball, even though that wasn't required. And for enjoying water, I have a video of me literally enjoying a glass of tap water from Croatia. So enjoying the Croatian water. And
Washing those eyeballs down.
for the
Mandatory.
for the black risotto, I mean, I know it's from the squid ink, but I'm planning on getting some, I'm planning on fulfilling that in a better way in the morning.
All right, cool. So sounds like you will be up for, I'm going to say 2 points on that one. As the experience side of the judging, I don't feel like I would count. I appreciate the creativity and trying to contrive something to work. I'm all about that, but drinking tap water just doesn't cut it as a creative manufacturing.
But I still have time, right?
You still have time.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. So I'm informing you that you haven't gotten that one yet.
You don't count it.
Yeah, not counted yet. Tim, so you, if I'm correct, you've already achieved all 3 of your goals.
That's
you
correct.
You got.
I may try and do another one tomorrow. I may try and do one twice tomorrow. You guys can decide how you count that. Actually, I may try and do 2 twice tomorrow. But
everywhere.
Let's see what was
eat something for less than $20.
Eat something for less than $20, which is surprisingly tough in Switzerland, by the way, because you guys are not kidding. This is an expensive freaking place. Like the bottle of water is like $5, and I'm like, is there booze in that? Like, what? It's $5 for just the bottle of water. But so I found there's a specific type of treat that's been made only in Basel for centuries now called Laquerie. That is it's like a spiced biscuit kind of thing that's made with like almonds and honey and different spices and things. And you can get a little sheet of it for about 1.6 francs. So that's what I did. And then for the Get Higher Than the Hills for review, I actually went across the Rhine on top of a hill that was higher than the hill across there for a view behind the cathedral over the Rhine in Basel as well. And then for the Try Some Absinthe, the folks at the Park Hyatt were kind enough to help me out with that one. So I've just completed that live with you all.
You did. So that's all 3 challenges completed. Nick, I don't think we have anything to review from you from this yet. So you've potentially got some time to do your 3 challenges, but to remind our viewers what those were, let me pull that up. Nick's challenges were find an authentic Moroccan dish served in a tagine, which is a little clay dish. You impressed your kids with a visit to Santa. Now, can you do something that convinces them you're Indiana Jones? Can you do what we failed to do in Macau and find a place to enjoy some live music? So we'll see if Nick can do that before he leaves.
Does Nick get bonus points if he gets all 3 of them in one place?
Stephen and I will have to discuss.
It is likely if he managed to do all 3 at the same time.
Then, do all 3.
Then there is a good chance that he would earn at least a bonus point for that. Yes,
that feels like bonus point worthy. If you can do 3 in one, that's alchemy.
See, Nick, we're all rooting for you. Yep. We really are. Okay, so we still have to talk about where these guys have to get to.
I don't know if you can hear me, but I appreciate it.
We can.
and we have some bonus points to award as well.
That's right. Yes, bonus points. So we have also decided to give bonus points whenever the delight strikes us. And you guys delighted us in a few ways. Stephen, can you review the ways that we decided to assign bonus points this time?
Okay.
Start with, actually, no, I'll just let you start with what you have because I don't remember if we have one for each.
Cool. Okay, so for Greg, you get a bonus point for flying KLM and being able to get one of the little Delft houses. I'm assuming did you have the Delft house with you?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I'll get it. So that's the funny thing. You know how I said I woke up in the morning while we were landing and it was sitting there on my side table. So they had, normally they come out with asking you which one you want or whatever, but
and if anyone's not familiar, you get one of the fly business class on KLM.
Isn't it filled with Geneva or something? It's filled with something, isn't it?
Is it gin or something?
Yeah, it's some type of gin, I think.
I believe it's gin, yeah.
Geneva or something like that. Yeah.
Say on it, as far as I can tell, but.
All right.
So you earn a point for that, and for going above and beyond with your challenge, because we said that you had to eat something with eyeballs or with tentacles or with both. you got something with eyeballs and you ate the eyeballs, and so you earn a bonus point for that, because that shows a little bit of flair. So that was cool.
I
Nice.
wouldn't have. I just wouldn't have done it.
Yep.
All right. So that's 2 bonus points total for Greg.
Yes. So Nick gets a bonus point despite his awful horrible
I'll
day
take it.
for resilience, because like all of the stress that he was going through yesterday trying to get to Morocco and everything like that on very little sleep. So being able to do that and still coming onto this live stream with a smiling face, that's impressive, because I think I would be feeling much more despondent at the moment. So yeah, bonus point for Nick. And you know
I'll
what?
take your many points.
And we were going to give you negative half a point for being late. However, upon further reflection, given how long this live stream has gone on, you've actually been here for the vast majority of it. So despite the fact that you missed 20 minutes at the beginning, I'm thinking, like, if you were going to a wedding or a funeral, if you were 20 minutes late, you'd probably still be there for kind of the most important parts. I mean, it wouldn't have been so good if it was
Yes, I
a job
agree.
interview or something like
agree.
that. But you know what? We're going to give you some pity,
All
not
right.
taking
I'll
away
take
your points.
Right. Not a pity point, but a
So yeah,
pity
you won the bonus
forgiveness.
point for resilience. You won't lose any points now for the live stream. If it happens again, though,
Then I'm in trouble.
If that's happen again, young man.
All right. So that is 1 solitary bonus point for Nick. How about Tim? Did he get any?
yes, he did. So the fact that he managed to get all 3 challenges done by the live, or kind of like by during the live stream, you earned a bonus point for that. That was nicely done to be able to get all 3 things done so quickly. So I'm impressed with that. So that gets you a point. You also get a point for unlocking the room that you wanted to book, because what would it have cost if you had, was it like 60,000 points or something for
61,000. Weirdly enough.
okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, the fact that you thought to call them up and get a room unlocked, that's something that I'm sure a lot of viewers and readers wouldn't have necessarily known would even be possible. So you earn a bonus point for that, because it also saved you 21,000 points as well. So that was good for that. And you also earn a bonus point kind of on behalf of the Park Hyatt for the welcome amenity that you got, because a credit card holder, for someone who writes about credit cards that's monogrammed with your initials, that's pretty impressive. So that earns a bonus point too. So you earn a total.
Wait. He gets a bonus point for getting the blogger treatment?
Ooh, we have a contest. We have a contest. So in summary, that's 2 bonus points for Greg, 1 bonus point for Nick, and 3 bonus points for Tim.
Correct.
I think that wraps up all of our scoring, and we'll have totals and write-ups in the post that comes to follow. Now we have to tell these guys where they are going
Where are we going?
next.
Don't
You
tell
gonna
me
have
any
us guess
and don't
first?
tell me any ho 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 riddles.
Sorry, what did you say, Greg?
Are you going to have us guess first, like we did last time?
Yes, I have one hint that's not a very good one, so you're probably not going to get it. So I'm leaking little bits of myself into these things. For instance, I made Tim guess where Yoders were from. This city has something to do with twins, and many people know I am a twin. Where would you have to go that has something to do
Lumpur.
with twins?
Kuala Lumpur.
Oh,
There
You
we
got
go.
it.
job, Tim.
You got it.
Nailed it.
So you guys have until Friday 9 p.m. So
Friday.
that's slightly right. No, wait.
Monday.
Today is Friday. I've been doing
That was
this
either a
wrong.
lot of time or
Right.
not enough.
A few hours. You guys have to get there in a few hours. So you have until Monday 9 p.m., which is slightly more than 48 hours this time. Right?
Wait, no,
To
it's
get to-
Sunday, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, no, this one's actually Monday. So
Monday.
yeah, it was
Oh, it
going
is
to be
Monday?
Sunday. Yeah, we had to move it to Monday.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
so
so-
you get extra time. So basically,
Oh,
in theory,
holy
you'll
moly.
be finishing up we should be finishing up in Kuala Lumpur when we do the live stream, because in theory you could be flying out later that day.
Oh, I see. I see. So
Yeah.
because we're doing the live stream after the activities,
Correct.
but that means that we don't have a set in stone deadline for the live stream. We just have to have the activities done and be there.
Well, you have to be at the live stream also, and
Oh,
you
right,
have to
right,
be
right.
in Kuala
We
Lumpur
don't
for
have to
the
be
live
in
stream.
Kuala Lumpur by any specific time. We just have to
So
be
it's
there.
Well,
9 p.m. Eastern on Monday. Is that what I'm
9 p.m.
understanding
Eastern on
correctly?
Monday.
Yes.
You have
Okay.
to be in Kuala Lumpur by 9 p.m. Eastern on Monday.
What day
at
and
least
time
this
is that in Kuala Lumpur?
That'll be
I
9
think
a.m.
that's
Tuesday.
Tuesday. I
right?
think that's Tuesday
Tu-
9 a.m.
Tuesday, 9
Yeah, they're
a.m.
12 hours ahead.
That's good because I was sweating not being able to get there. I was looking specifically
Right.
for Kuala Lumpur today because I had a feeling. I don't know why. I had a feeling that was going to be it.
Yep.
And I
Yeah,
was like,
but
oh,
what
man,
other
I-
12 places did
Monday.
you look at?
Well,
Oh, just for you.
I do believe
Fair
Nick though,
enough.
because
Fair
Nick
enough.
did mention on a previous live stream, I think it was like 2 or 3 live streams
Yeah.
ago, that he was predicting Malaysia for like one of
that
the
was one of my
championships, something
3
like
guesses.
that.
My three guesses were Malaysia, Indonesia, and Nepal. So Malaysia is right there.
And I think none of you have been to Malaysia before. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
cool.
Perfect.
Great. New country for all of you. You have to be there by
Country for
Monday,
all of
9
us.
p.m.
Excited.
And oh yes, challenges. All right, sorry.
Oh, we
Getting
have
lost
individual
in the-
challenges too? Oh, my.
Sort of. So the challenges are going to work a little bit differently, just like these ones did. Let me pull this up. Okay, Kuala Lumpur challenge. I'll start with Nick. This is a vacation. You're not supposed to be relaxing. Find an activity that gets everyone's blood pumping. So this has to be an activity that everyone does together.
Oh, so this
Right.
this is Nick's activity to plan for all of us.
Correct.
Exactly.
Okay.
Nick's activity to plan for all of you. This is a vacation. You're not supposed to be relaxing. Find an activity that gets everybody's blood pumping.
Okay.
Tim,
Yeah, I like it.
Kuala
Terry.
Lumpur.
Yes.
This isn't just a vacation. Find an activity that makes use of your brains.
What
Got
are
it.
sorry, what are those?
This isn't just a vacation.
Right,
Find an
I-
activity that makes use of
Is
your
this
brain.
another
If
riddle?
you still
Is it-
have one after all the absinthe. If the absinthe doesn't eat it all up. And that has to be a group activity as well.
After not
Alright.
after taking so long to guess Switzerland, Carrie's like, Tim needs to use his brain.
I should have-
a little bit
Maybe I
more."
should have shuffled these around. All right, Greg, your challenge. This is a vacation. You're supposed to be relaxing. Find an activity that helps you restore some energy with all of your friends.
Mm.
Right?
All right.
Now, can I quick ask a clarifying question for this? And this is for Nick and Greg as well. And I know you're gonna do the hotel after this, but there's nothing saying that these all have to be on Monday, assuming that if we're there on Sunday, correct? Like they just have to happen together.
Yes, but
before
spoiler
Monday.
alert, I don't think I can get there on Sunday, Tim. So
Oh,
Well, and we have assumed that this will probably span multiple days. So
okay.
Yeah.
you'll probably be there, some of you more than one day. Maybe some of you
unless I
only
leave at 1:20 a.m. tonight, I can't get to Asia before
If-
But
Monday.
if Tim and I got there like tomorrow, I'm not saying we will, but we won't be able
Do it
to do
without
our
me.
challenges until
Right.
Nick gets there.
Right.
Yeah.
But so
Right.
what if we do them with a cardboard cut? If we actually can go and get a cardboard cutout Nick made and then like play Scrabble or something, or relax by the beach.
I bet the Park Hyatt concierge would get you one of those cardboard cutouts.
He'd probably get Nick's initials monogrammed in that stuff.
I think in this case, start the challenges when most of the other contestants are there. So
I see.
Hold
I
off.
see how it goes.
hold off as long as you can, but you know,
Yeah,
if you
we
have to
might-
start your challenges.
That sounds good. And if anyone's still awake watching this, don't forget to thumbs up the
Right.
video.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
All 341 of you, please like this video and subscribe to our YouTube so that you can see a notification for that Monday 9 p.m. I've already forgotten the date and time, so you will too.
Monday night.
So make sure you're subscribed to get a notification.
And in terms of
Um,
your hotel bookings, you guys can pick whatever you like. If you want to work together and kind of book in at the same hotel, that's up to you. But it does mean that there would kind of be limited judging points available if you're all going to end up booking the same thing. So it would probably be good if you all end up at different places, but that's completely up to you. So yeah, pick your best location, your best value, your best experience, and can't wait to see what you end up coming up with there.
Nick, do you want to share a room on Sunday night?
I don't know. I'm not sure where I'm going to be yet.
All right, so
If
we
we're sharing a room in
are
the sky, I guess.
we are going to be waiting to see more challenge footage from all of you all. It sounds like even though Tim has achieved all of his, he still has more stuff up his sleeve. So we're going to still see Greg tackle challenges about water and about
With ink.
black risotto, and we're going to see Tim getting higher than the hills.
I'm not going to say what I'm
absinthe,
going to.
and
Right.
some kind of local treat that's less than $20 US. Nick, we're gonna see him try to be like Indiana Jones, try to see some live music, and try to eat something out of a tagine. All right. I think that summarizes everything. We are almost now at an hour and a half. I think we are good to wrap. Thank you so much for watching, everybody, and for following
you.
along. Don't forget to check out Instagram for the most immediate updates. And we'll see you in slightly more than 48 hours.
Yeah.